Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Leadership Conversations with Krishna. And today I'm pleased to have my guest, Mr. Divyanshu Shukla, who's the founder of PapSwap Center for Policy. Hello, Divyanshu. How are you today?
Hello, hello, Krishna. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for inviting.
Yeah, we've been wanting to do this for a while, and I think, it's nice that we're doing it, right? And, you've especially been a big proponent of entrepreneurship in India, right? So just jumping right in, PapSwap has the heritage of being the first public policy startup in India. I want to understand what motivated you to start it and what is it all about? What is PapSwap all about?
We started PapSwap 3 years back as India's first public policy startup and project consultancy company. Uh, so there was a need. We were saying that a lot of big fours were operating in India at the PMU level, project management units, and we want to create something Indian big four, right? And it was a time that everything which was going from a product to services was made in India, and we thought that why not a Indian project consulting company which might understands better policies, which might understand the better requirement. And we that was the only thought. One thing that we saw was a very a recurring disconnect between public policy and the people who needed it, who matters the most. uh, we observed that there was a great gap between great policies, right, which were being drafted at the top, and but very few were translated or executed at the bottom where it mattered, and we want to bridge that gap. So that was the time when we started to create a public policy company. First we thought we'll create a public policy company. When we googled it, when we did our research, we came to know there is no public policy startup. So we started as a public policy startup. It helped us a lot, right? Starting as a startup, thinking from a startup entrepreneur mindset, starting with limited resources, always aiming to break into larger section of runners. It helped a lot. So this is our journey. We started in Uttar Pradesh. Still, we are the policy engagement partner for StartinUP. It's an initiative of government of Uttar Pradesh, which initiated ecosystem in India. We've been working there for 3 years. This year, we also started working with Invest UP. That's the top department for in Uttar Pradesh for investment in any field, irrespective of field. So these were the two. This was something how we started PapSwap Center for Public Policy and why we felt the need is needed in India. For last 6 months, we are seeing there will be a lot of public policy startups coming, and especially after the announcement of Prime Minister, our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, when he said that the Indian Big Four should also be considered or given a chance. So this what we thought was 3 years back, right? Exactly, we waited for 3 years for this moment to happen.
No, that's amazing, right? And it's also great to know that you've already had a few clients on board and, especially your engagement with the government of UP. Can you tell us a little bit about that engagement? How does it look like? What exactly is your role, to help one of India's, most transformative states?
Sure. So we started, as I said, we started our journey 3 years back with Start in UP. We signed an MOU with them, which states that we are their policy engagement partner, which means we have to engage, as the name says, engage its various stakeholders to its policies, right? Stakeholder in the entrepreneurship segment includes investors, incubators, startups, mentors, and CSR companies, right? Big corporates where innovation is being given a chance and where innovation is doing real great. This is was our total project. We were aligned to work with another big four, KPMG, right? To work that was their policy implementation partner, right? So we engaged with them. We tried to build policies and programs which were not part of the UP Startup Policy Forum initially. We are proud that we made some initiative that were very appreciated by the government. Some of them, which is known as Govt Procure, where we help these startups who can, you know, help the government sector to align with. Another program was we organized Uttar Pradesh first HNI and family office meet. Uh, Uttar Pradesh is a state where a lot of HNIs and family offices operates, and of course, their new generations are looking forward to invest into startups ecosystem. We also organized Uttar Pradesh first startup incubator sensitization program in collaboration with the central government to make sure that all the needs, that all the support, all the policy support that central government gives to the state incubators or reach out points know that, and they can help the students, they can help the startup founders in their own domains, right? So UP is a big state, and usually the startup ecosystem, if we see the numbers, 33% of the startup ecosystem runs from Noida. It's close to Delhi, right? And because of it, then some of the startup ecosystem runs into Lucknow, Kanpur belt because of IIT Kanpur being the legacy there and Lucknow being the capital there. But the state like UP cannot be run from two, points only. So in started UP's, policy, we have around right now 75 incubators, and they are into tier two, tier three areas of the state. So that's one of the wonderful part of our, Uttar Pradesh startup policies, that what they are not just thinking about metro cities. From the day one, they were concerned that how they can help or reach out the startup founders who are operating in tier two, tier three cities. And that was from day one, very, very clear that, we are not just entertaining the metro startup founders, but all of them.
No, that's great to hear. And, you rightly pointed out, right? The ecosystem has to grow beyond just the main cities or, certain academic hubs, but also into tier two, tier three zones. That
So
brings
we also
me.
learned this. Yeah, please. We also learned this from, the first runners who were there in the ecosystem, like Bangalore, right? Bangalore being the first runner into the startup ecosystem across Hyderabad, right? And these two states, we, get a lot of inspiration from them, and how to work. And when Bangalore started beyond Bangalore, just few years back, we were doing a comparison that we don't want to do the same little mistake that we concentrate on one city too much, right? And then it's a big state to handle, right? So we that with our talent in Uttar Pradesh hardly comes from capital Lucknow, right? It's capital Lucknow. The talent is being diversified into each part districts of Uttar Pradesh. So that's what government thought, right? That why not a reach out center should be there only. And yeah, that I think was a great strength when we joined this ecosystem in 2022. I think the ecosystem is there from 2018 for the startup in UP.
Oh, that's great to hear. And how have you seen the growth of this ecosystem? You mentioned, you've been seeing it from 2018, and then probably more closer from 2022 when you were more involved. How have you seen the growth of the startup ecosystem in UP and also North India as a whole?
Okay. So, as a North India, or in fact any place in India, India has been very rich into talent and ambition. Every Indian, right? They're highly skilled and highly ambitious people. So, what I felt that North Indian states, since they didn't have this technological edge over, not the first runners into this, they made three PPs, right? Platform. They provided platform. They had policies, and they gave a purpose, right? A purpose for people to work into North State only and don't migrate to Hyderabad or Bangalore or maybe outside India to develop their startup ecosystem. So when these three P's work together, a lot of people gave a chance, that we don't want to migrate, let's stay into our districts only, right? Let's try to build something here. Because of the technology, everything is available, right? One example that I said about UP, that their first day approach was to, to reach out tier two, tier three districts. They opened their incubators there. They make sure that, anyone, I mean, not only someone who's living into the capital Lucknow, moving to Noida, they didn't even want the someone living in Varanasi, Mirzapur to move to Lucknow. right? So they want to, whatever they are developing should develop in their own district only, right? Not everyone rushing towards the, capital and trying to do something. It has many features like, mentoring session, reimbursements of, expenses done by the startups, grants, funds. It was all structuralized, right? And what we did when we came in 2022, right? We try to add that, modern touch, you can say, which was missing. We organized Uttar Pradesh first international visit, yeah, for smart companies to come and collaborate with UP startups. Since then, we have been doing many reach out programs, right? UP participated in Austria's Vienna Up 2024-25 both, right? They represented all the startup ecosystems there. Other than that, we hosted ambassadors from Taiwan. We smart companies from South Korea, delegations, defense delegations from Russia. All these were done. Of course, there is a banner which is this India Startup Bridge that is governed by central government. But UP being the state did this, we were so thankful to the bureaucracies working in UP that they allowed us to construct this bridge between Uttar Pradesh ASEAN countries, Uttar Pradesh Russia, Uttar Pradesh South Korea friendship. So a state working with a bigger country, right, just to facilitate their startups, just to make sure that their startup gets the best knowledge, the best support, the best, proof of concept if they are doing it, the best collaborations, going a way extra mile way for their startups. I mean, that's what some strengths that India is growing right now, what I can see, right? There are platforms like, Yuva Hubs. Last month, our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Yogi Adityanath ji launched, on the MSME Day, he launched a digital model of Yuva Adda. We are also working on it into rural sections. He makes sure that every rural district should have an entrepreneurial ecosystem. People can gather there, people can talk about these new businesses, people can leverage the government policies, people can ask for new mentors and help them to, use technology in their previous work or use technology to do something new. So as I said, the central and state, we are very focused that entrepreneurship will grow in UP, not in the capital, not in Delhi NCR. It will grow in each and every district.
That's, fascinating to hear. And I'm interested to deep dive more into the thought process of, why the Uttar Pradesh government, led by Mr. Yogi Adityanath, is focusing on such a district level policy. But before that, I noticed you also mentioned like relationships between UP and other countries. Obviously, the central government and its good relationships with the countries you mentioned, like Taiwan, Russia, South Korea, ASEAN, is definitely helping, UP. But I was curious because UP also has very good heritage with with some of these countries you mentioned, right? Because most of the Asian countries are Buddhist, and UP also has a significant Buddhist presence with Sarnath, and also Ayodhya, also Varanasi, that belt also being religious, and there there's also the Ayodhya and South Korean erstwhile historical connection, right? Is UP also leveraging on these very
Definitely.
personal
So
people to people bonds?
right. I'll give you two examples of it. The ancient connection of, you talked about South Korea. The Ayodhya princess has been married to the prince of South Korea years back, and the princess comes from the Rama's family, right? Bhagwan Rama's family. You talked about the Buddhist circuit. UP has its own Buddhist circuit. There is a place in UP known as Kushinagar. It is the place where Lord Buddha had his last breath. It's like the pilgrimage for all the Buddhists. It's 24/7, 12 months. It's been filled with all Buddhist tourisms, right? UP government, especially the tourism department, has constructed the whole area as the Buddhist circuit. There are 8 pilgrimage circuits in UP, right, on the tourism part. Right now, also there are many places. All the MPs and MLAs has given a choice, not sorry choice, has given a work that all the pilgrimage places that comes under their constituency should have a clean connectivity of the roads, should be connected with the tourism policy of the state government, and they have to make sure that they are honored in the right way, that it has to be done, not only for the local tourists, but to make sure that a lot of tourists from other parts of India and other parts of the world should also travel.
Oh, that's great to hear, especially because it is a state that already has a lot of tourism, but definitely a lot more, can happen, right? Yeah, just going back, I said, I would come to the one district, the district policy, right?
I
Um,
I I forgot to mention. I'm really sorry. You mentioned about the places like Gorakhpur, Ayodhya, Varanasi, how they are connecting.
yeah.
So if you see the UP IT electronics policy, most of their center of excellences are proposed to open in these district two states only, right? Cities only, like Gorakhpur, Bareilly, Varanasi. Instead of opening center of excellence into Noida and Lucknow, again the UP government has taken a step which is way forward, way much more difficult than they thought, right? But they are ready to take their chances. They want to make sure that that talent remains in their own district, right? And then it's the I'm sorry, I lost, it's in their district. It should flourish, not outside their districts.
Is this also related, to the or connected to the one district, one product, initiative of the UP Chief Minister? Are both of these connected? And since I brought it up, can you tell our viewers what exactly this is
So,
all about?
so ODOP, one district, one product was a state policy, right? uh, it's one of the UP state policy that made a huge news not only in state but in center also. Center has also adopted this policy and implemented into other states. So yes, it has some of its own connecting right things. You can connect it that they want to flourish their district, but ODOP basically was initially made that every district of UP had something to offer in service in a product means, right? For example, Varanasi sarees were there, then there were in Muradabad there was brass copper work
Mhm.
used to be there, and the motive was to sell this district's art, the ancient art or the products to the world. So that's why this one district, one product policy was ODOP was made way back.
Got it. Um, you know, I'd like to kind of move towards entrepreneurship in India and, kind of the next segment of our podcast. And I know you're somebody who's heavily involved, in entrepreneurship and growing the ecosystem. Where do you see, what is the current state of startup ecosystem in India, and what are some strengths that we have, and what are some of our challenges that we have as this ecosystem is building rapidly?
So there are a lot of strength that Indian startup ecosystem has. That is, when we sit on a global table, Krishna, I'll share one example with you, right? When we sit on a global table for a collaboration, what I see, what Indian brings is the creativity, right? They might not bring the best technology, right? They might not bring the best solution, right? But they will bring a creativity which can help them to expand, right? And this is their strength, right? Now, India is using technology in its own way, right? They, of course, most of the, if you see a lot of unicorns, first unicorns in India were copied from the Western countries, right? The services and the products were exactly which were running there in the exactly. But then when this ecosystem was start flourishing into other states, into different sectors of people other than engineering and MBA, when other a lot of people from other different backgrounds start coming into startup ecosystem, a lot of creativity start coming with it, right? They started using the technology not to just deliver into metro cities. They understood that the number of people, the business lies into tier 2, tier 3, right? And it lies into numbers, right? We are not a US based market or a Europe based market where the population is less in number, but their pocket size is good, right? So initially if you get a payments, customer payments, you survive. In India the payment, pocket size is less, but the thing is you are huge in numbers, you're far in number. And then we have our own requirements, right? India has a lot of to deliver. Now this models like Blinkit, Zepto, fast delivery models, right? They originated in India because that was a need, right? Less time. People had less time to talk. They are traveling into metro cities, too much busy. So India is using technology, what I think, as they need it, and that's their only strength. They should keep stick to it. Let's do not get into, into this hypothetical situation where we are
Comparison.
running after a lot of unicorns, right? I see on the internet everyone asks that how many unicorns India has, why US has less unicorns, and why not. So it's not that only US has more unicorns. US also have more millionaires, right? There are also more businesses which is operating on their own. They might not be unicorn, but they give you a good placements, they give you good employment, and they are making good money from them. So that's the phase which India is running through. They are creating a lot of good business, sustained businesses, and slowly it will also start turning into unicorns, but I think, right? And technology, it changes so fast, right? Becoming a unicorn is not that simple, right? But creating a business model that not only gives you money, but also you make money for us, you also employ other people's, right? And you do something meaningful that can help someone, make someone's life easy, make someone's work easy. That's a good business to startup ecosystem to flourish.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm getting out of it is, we don't have to compare, our ecosystem to another country, because every country is very different in terms of, like you said,
Yeah.
the market and opportunity. And it's and even I agree with you, right? It's not that we're not seeing innovation, like, apart from some of the companies you mentioned, there's also a lot of defense startups now originating in India. And, some of them are doing some great work. And just last 10, 12 days, we saw, 20-year-old students from BITS Hyderabad, like, make headlines, based on a new thing that they developed, right? So, I think I agree, right? We have that strength, but
So
uh,
a startup in defense from UP made news, BrahMos, right? UP is very, very proud of BrahMos right
yeah.
now. It's a UP based product.
Which part of
And
UP is that in?
it's near Kanpur Unnao belt, right?
Okay.
And Mr. Adani also has a defense manufacturing unit there, right? UP is also one of the state which has a Uttar Pradesh defense corridor. I think it's in UP, Tamil Nadu, and Assam got its approval, right?
Got
In latest, right? It was there for two states only, Tamil Nadu and UP. So I mean, see, so what when I see, right, we might not be able to develop something like Chat GTP right now. I don't think so. We want to develop, because a lot of Indians are using AI not as a service, but as a tool, right? They can create more things on AI rather than creating it as a whole soul business. But now defense companies which are doing, Garuna is one of them, right? These EV companies which are making a lot of noise in India, right? Definitely, as the India growth stories grow, right? These companies will also grow with them. But
no.
I was hearing somewhere that they're getting a lot of orders with after this post Operation Sindoor scenario, right? A lot of foreign orders are coming from BrahMos and Garuna.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I think there's a long list of countries wanting BrahMos, especially, right? So, we touched upon the strengths of the startup ecosystem. Now, I want to kind of deep dive into various facets of the startup ecosystem in India, right? And, just starting with investors. Now, recently there's been a lot of discussion that, the main challenge in India is that, it's not that there's a dearth of ideas, there's people with a lot of ideas, but the ability to take risks and the availability of capital. I mean, the availability of capital and the ability to take risks from an investor's point of view is low as compared to, other countries like, Western countries or China. Do you think that is a challenge, and how do you think that can be improved?
So of course, there is a challenge, right? Investment in startups is done at these stages, right? What India lag behind is not VCs. There are a lot of VC firms, right? But there are very less angel investors, right? People who can support you at an early stage, at a seed stage. So you see a lot of people on LinkedIn and other, platforms write angel investor in front of them, right? Seed investor, but they are not, right? Now, these people who are angel investor and seed investor, these are crazy people, right? These are people who will listen to you and they will not, if it's not even making sense, right? If it's not even understanding, if even there is 1% of intuition that it's going to happen, right, they will invest in you. They are the crazy people who takes the biggest risk, right? Now US and other Western countries, China, they are full of angel investors, right? They are people who want to invest and grab the high equity. In India, the problem is that there is no education programs around angel investors, right? We have done some of the programs in UP, right? Other states I also see they keep on doing it. So first is that what North Indian states should understand, and it's for pan India. There are no angel investors in South also, right? They are only VC firms, right? People that their personal capacity are not that daring in India, right? And yeah, but they have to understand that there's a process to from becoming an investor to an angel investor, from a home investor to an angel investor. You should understand the process, you should understand why you are investing, right? What's your return, right? Angel investor is always hungry for bigger returns, right? They want 20x 50x, right? Because they are the ones who's trusting you when no one is trusting you, right? So India's ecosystem after pre series A, series B is going really great right now. I think it's going as per it should go, right? Its own pace. My take is that India has to work more on angel investors, right? It's not only government's job, it's the stakeholders' job, right? Who are the total stakeholders, incubators, mentors, right? Other corporate people that, we should produce more angel investors, right? What I've seen a lot of catalyst firms have done that they have taken a group of entered angel investors and turned into a VC firm, right? And everyone is investing 5 lakh, 10 lakhs, and together they invest a big, size of check, right, into a startup. But again, that's also not a form of investing. That's a, alternate of angel investing, right? That I don't want to invest alone 5 lakh. I'll what I'll do, I'll put 2.5 lakh and Krishna will put 2.5 lakh together. And now that's not angel investing and that's also not a VC investing, right? That's somewhere in between that India, as I said, they're always creative. They have created something new that I've seen a lot of catalyst firms, coming, who are helping these angel investors to invest their monies, right? But again, India has to come up with a lot of daring angel investors in market. Uh, Fortunately, a lot of Indian startups, a lot of investors into startup ecosystem, they invest on technology because it can be measured. Technology can be used to for higher impacts. It can be used. It can be used to uh, deliver your business or services worldwide. But a lot of Indian startups, especially in the North India, they don't use technology. They create simple business models, right? I see in North India, people only technology focused people, right? That 10 or 20% run after the angel investments. Everyone else have created substantial businesses. They have their paying customers, right? The population size of a state like UP is like third country in the world, right? So if you have something useful, right, that people wants to buy and pay for it, you hardly need an investor into it.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective. So, you are saying that the challenge is mostly in the initial stages of the
Initial
funding
stages.
life cycle, right? And we have to kind of attack that initial stage. And it's interesting you said, we need to increase the need on awareness of angel investors. And I was heavily involved in the Seattle startup ecosystem in US, like uh, till recently, and I did a couple of podcasts with people based there. And this seems to be now slightly a global challenge, because one of them mentioned to me that the angel investor pool in, and I think he was referring to US in general, and also maybe Seattle more specifically, was that even the angel investor pool in Seattle is also slightly reducing because of various reasons, right? Economic downturn, some layoffs in certain tech companies, and in general, mid-senior level people feeling slightly insecure. And the angel investor pool has reduced there also. And obviously the world is so interconnected, right? And maybe that is also having slight impact on India, because yeah, people based in the US also
Definitely,
routinely,
definitely.
yeah.
But what I heard stories about, old entrepreneurs, right? They, if you, from Steve Jobs to like, you can go way before than Steve Jobs also, right? They
Okay.
all flourished because someone from an angel investing community trusted them. And they all have a same story. When I see their, biographies, when I see, listen to their stories, they always had one thing in common. The first person who believed in them didn't understood what they are doing. They only got a feeling that they are doing something nice and I don't want to miss the bus. Right. Now that's the capacity of risk capacity. That of course I don't say you cannot compare the time. India has a different time right now. That's a totally different scenario. Right. But yeah, if Indian not forcing anyone to invest into it, but yeah, I'm saying this change, this very good change in tier two, tier three cities, I like to mention, not a tier one business communities or angel investors are not that, heavy heart, but in
Can you
tier
name
two.
those cities?
So in UP, if you see any tier, you go to any tier two city from Noida. If you leave Noida and Lucknow, every other city is a tier two city, and business communities there, right, are madly want to adopt technology. Now they are there. They and their generation are the one who understands, not understand startups maybe, but they have heard this buzzword and they have understood that technology, startup ecosystem, new world of doing business can make them very rich, right? Since they are not, come from this system, they are ready to invest into it, right? So they don't want to try their own startups, want to help the metro city startups to take their money and, make bring them from tier two, tier one. So I think this is one trend that I have seen in last 1 year in UP. If it goes well for next 2 3 years, states like UP, MP, other states, right? North Indian states will have a slightly better startup ecosystem what we are standing here today.
That's great. That was a really, fascinating and valuable insight, right? That people in second tier cities are looking at this new buzz. I want to jump into academia and research, which is, maybe interconnected in some ways for the startup ecosystem. Now, another aspect that, people say is, and, how can we increase the risk-taking ability starting from early stage academics? How do we, right now, there's a lot of reward for people following, the textbook method and then, following what needs to be done. But how can we reward the uncommon thinkers and, people who have great ideas, but also need to take certain risks, right?
So,
How can that be incorporated in the academic world?
I think with the effort of our government, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, one thing he made sure about startup ecosystem and innovation was that, and what I like the most is he has made sure that the incubation centers, the innovation centers, has to be run from academia only. He has made sure that it comes under their NAC rating. All education institutes, be it government, state government, central government, private, it's compulsory for them to have an innovation and an incubation center right now. I think the same policy has been also implemented at corporate level. In IIT Delhi, there is a incubation center wing which is owned and run by DS Group, Dharampal Satpal Group. DS Group are the original makers of Rajini right? And coming from a business like from tobacco, right? Now investing huge amount of infrastructure and team into IIT Delhi is something that government has been successfully able to do it. And there are many, there is, Dhirubhai Ambani's innovation center in Gujarat, there are Mahindra's innovation center, there are Tata's innovation center. Their big names are there, but I'm taking someone from a traditional business, right? Giving you a name from there, and that also supporting IIT Delhi, right? So this change is already there, right? The problem is right now, what I feel is that a lot of colleges, lot of academia, other than IITs, engineering, MBA, are not ready for it, right? For example, medical colleges, right? So what Indian mindset has that, Indian parents, they save a lot of money to make their people doctor, right? They make their kids doctor. Once they go to a college, to become a doctor, and now you're telling them to become an entrepreneur, right? To innovate something. So sometimes it goes crazy in law colleges, right? Colleges like Delhi University, right, which is non-engineering, MBA. People come and do their BCom, BA, BSc, and now all of a sudden they want to become an entrepreneur. But yeah, it's great. It has to be grow like this. In the latest RDI scheme incentive, also I think this budget they have a huge amount on research spend it. All this research is going through academias only. It's all democratic process. You can submit your research amounts, your research requirements to the government through your academia, right? If liked, it will the amount will be released to the innovation center and they can run it.
No, that's great. And you talked about, like, some of the green colleges, right? They have a pretty good ecosystem. They're also running it. Seem to be the center like IIT Delhi. Now, are we seeing second tier, third tier colleges and universities also having incubator centers? Because I am in Hyderabad currently, right? And Triple IT has a big startup presence, and I think IIT also here has something. I'm not sure, but Triple IT, BITS, NIT, these people are there. But sometimes the best talent could come from college you've never heard about. Are they also
I'll tell
having
you.
incubation centers?
Tell you a story about the best audit. We work with Principal Scientific Advisory. It's a committee. It's a department that represent uh, to the Prime Minister's office into scientific science and technology, right? And they told us that the first this take for COVID, how to detect COVID, came from a very tier 3 college of Tamil Nadu, right? It was the first kit that government approved, right? Came from a very very tier 3 college of the Tamil Nadu somehow, and yeah, and that's what I said, right? If you go to these colleges, right, in tier 2, tier 3, by government force and by government's policy implementation, there will be an innovation and incubation center. In starting, they name it as e-cells, right? Right, students learning cells, and once they start earning some money or they start getting a lot of inquiries or some kind of grant support from the government, they turn it into an innovation and an incubation center. So in UP, for example, all the colleges have it, right? In northern state all there, and it's not only UP northern state, it's everywhere in the country, because it's the education system has come under the NAC rating. If you don't have an incubation and innovation center, your NAC ratings is going down, right? And government is very serious about it.
No, that's great to hear, right? Definitely there is system and also accountability in place.
Right.
Another important pillar of the ecosystem, we touched upon academia, research, right? Another one of the biggest important pillars is people and talent, right? Some countries have the advantage of attracting some of our talent, and and we also routinely lose talent to other countries, right? How do you see that? Do you think, what can we do to retain some of our best talent to build in India for India, right?
As I
And
said, it has to be a triple P model. You have to give a platform, you have to bring the policies, and you have to give them a purpose. So we talked about platform and policies, right? Let's talk about purpose, right? I was in talk with one of the directors of IIT Kanpur. So he told me, I asked him the same questions of why, what do you think, why India startup ecosystem is growing? So he gave me a very small data. He said, Divyanshu, 20, 20, 30 years back, if 50 engineers are graduating from IIT Kanpur, around 40 are going for US, Singapore, right? None of them wants to stay here, right? Out of left 10 engineer, they start studying for UPSC, right? And they try to clear a UPSC. Some are left, right? And some are left. They either join a government, they become a government professor like me, right? Or maybe into another university and start again teaching the students. Now, this trend has changed. The people who were leaving for foreign countries to work, right? If there is a highly skilled demand job, right, they will still go. But if it's a okay job, they'll start. Now there's a purpose, right? Said, why not we stay back into our district? Everything is available. We are talented. Internet is there. Everything is committed. Let's try to create something. So that's why he said a lot of startups are coming, because a lot of people have chosen because now they have seen the purpose why we want to stay in India. The purpose has shifted from becoming a multi-millionaire employee to a maybe a small business owner, right? First, they want to go there outside countries. They want to earn into millions and want to be a CEO, be a maybe a top high ranking official into that company or a country. But now the purpose has shifted that I will do a small business in India, right? Maybe a fruit business, maybe a delivery business, maybe a local district, anything, mushrooms. People are going mushrooms crazily into tier three, right? They are doing, or old businesses using technology to, get new customers, refining it, and the purpose is sorted, right? If you can do it, right? Eventually, the pocket size of every Indian has increased, right? The paying capacity is increased, and when you are such highly populated right country and which is connected with internet, everyone is connected with internet, right? So yeah, people who wants to utilize it, they don't want to miss the chance.
Oh, that's amazing. And so you're saying that there is a reverse trend happening now. There are people,
Reverse trend is happening.
staying back, even maybe, coming back and building for India. Uh, I have
If
an
you also notice all the trade agreements had happened in last 5 to 10 years, in between India and other countries, they always have this manpower requirement clause, right? That we will send some people there and you will send some people there because people have stopped going there, right? Now it has the thing has dictated to the trade agreements also, that people are, countries are taking, commitments that you will send some engineers, otherwise things will go wrong. So, but
that
what I can see, I've never heard about, talking about employment into trade agreements, right? That we did it with Israel, we did it with Germany right now, right? Uh, an ex-ambassador, IFS, Dr. Raj Srivastav, he's been a mentor to our, many projects. If we invited him on a on a, summit a few weeks back, and he mentioned that, in Europe, right? If any new country comes into Europe, EU, this graph, and recently he was telling me about Croatia. Now they got $1 billion fund from EU to digitalize Croatia, right? Since now Croatia is becoming the part of EU, but they don't have talent to digitalize it, right? They don't have people to digitalize it. Though they are forcing now. He said that when he shifted as an ambassador to Croatia, there were around Indian community of 200 people, which has grown to 16,000 in 10 years, from 200 to 16,000. And these people are not going by, just they want to go. This is that, the government is asking them to come here, right? Otherwise, things will go really, really wrong. The world needs Indian brain, world needs Indian creativity. Money is there, as I said, from what not to be the best engineer, right? Not might be able to be, the Europeans are very good engineers, right? They were very old fashioned, very since very long. But you see, they don't bring a lot of creativity. They've been working on 50-year, 60-year old dimensions, old methods of working. But Indians goes there, right? They bring the creativity. What do we call it? Quantum, right? That's we are doing it, that we try to bring everything into it, every bits and pieces.
Yeah, that's a very interesting observation you made and you have, right? And you talked about the Croatian example, and our prime minister also recently visited Croatia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same day we had an event in Delhi, and the ambassador, ex-ambassador, IFS Raj Srivastav ji was mentioning about it, that in few days, Prime Minister sir is going there.
yeah, yeah. Just sticking to the same immigration topic, uh, do you think, I mean, talent and immigration is kind of connected, right? Do you think that we should have an immigration policy? I mean, we as in India, because and why can't we have, the best talent from certain global South or Central Asian countries come and, build and grow our country? We could have a pathway to citizenship for somebody from, Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan or, Chad or Nigeria, right? Uh, what do you think about that? Should we start thinking out of the box now in terms of like building and growing our country?
See, it seems a very wonderful idea. UP government is working something similar on it. As I said, UP is trying to build their own bridges with different countries. The whole topic that we discussed, we, for example, like last 1 year, we organized Uttar Pradesh ASEAN Summit, right, where countries from ASEAN, ASEAN countries, people from there were participating in India. Then we did a Sarvottam Uttar Pradesh for India South Korea partnership. Recently, we had Vasudev Kutum, where a lot of European countries participated. This year, in the towards the last, we are doing BRICS A plus. So it's BRICS nations plus African nations. A plus represents the African nations, but Mr. Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji emphasized that African nations should not be included into BRICS. So all these steps that UP as a state is taking, right, but we are suggesting them as a policy programs, right? They are doing it to make sure that people from these countries should come in UP and invest in partnership, right? So, not I'm saying that they are not promoting the citizenship. Of course, they are not promoting that these countries people should come and take Indian citizenship, but calling them having a permanent business in India, right, is somewhere close. You Central government recently launched their global capacity GCC policy, again attracting the companies which are operative in 3 to 4 continents, have a global business to shift their offices here. Uh, it's a good suggestion should be sent to Mr. Piyush Goyal. He's trying to build, Asian Silicon Valley somewhere in Goa. He announced it, and he's very seriously working on it. How a global community can work and live in Goa and work into a Asian Silicon Valley concept, right? If there is a citizenship subsidies or citizenship benefits, right, it should be a part of it. Entrepreneurship, or I will say that we should create, India should be the first country to create an entrepreneurship ecosystem where there is no citizenship, right? The entrepreneur, what I always say, an entrepreneur doesn't have any gender, caste, religion, nothing. If he's talented, he will attract everyone. He will attract the investors, he will attract the right customers, he will attract these stakeholders, everyone. So maybe India can create an ecosystem where a lot of foreign companies, foreign players can leave their citizenship and be a part of this new thing, right? Where it can be do it. But definitely, I think India, as you see under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, have taken very bold steps, right, into their foreign policies. We are not a country that just listens. We also say our part, at least what we have to say, and we not just say now these days, we stick to it right, and we have taken some very very bold decisions. Might not be right now, in a year or two, but yeah, you never know. India might have a immigration or a citizenship policy also, and I'm sure if India does that, it will not do it for countries like Kazakhstan or any country which is below it. It will directly do it to the European countries or the. They always take a step ahead, right? Whatever this government is doing, if they open something, this they will open for big players, right? So if someone wants to come from US and leave it here, I want to see what will happen. But yeah, definitely it will. Never know in this leadership. Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating, and it's also nice to hear that UP government also, like you said, is kind of thinking on those lines, right? And also you mentioned the African countries, right? Prime Minister has personally also kind of stood up as a voice of African people, right? Added them to G20, be it vaccine distribution. He has personally helped a lot of those African countries. Uh, we're kind of moving into the end of the podcast, right? So one of you, you touched upon like uh, UP, and then we talked about like immigration policy. One of UP's most advanced or modern cities is like the Noida, Greater Noida belt, and it is also growing to be a big manufacturing hub. Especially in like mobiles, and I'm not sure about the stat I read recently, but I read some stat recently that I think India is now exporting as many mobiles as China or something of that kind, right? What's the success behind Noida? Why? How come that Noida has achieved that success? And now today, a lot of people are also saying like it's growing and
So
becoming as much as Gurgaon.
Noida has a very interesting story. Originally, it started as an industrial city, right? Uh, Something which a place where Delhi NCR people don't want to go, right? Big factories with a lot of air dust, right? And but as the time goes, and I like to say it, somehow the UP bureaucracy for last 15-20 years has been very smart, right? What I have seen it. So Noida, from this industrial townships, from this industrial, tag that they shifted to real estate slowly, right? And they start competing with Gurgaon. They start giving good commercial complex. They start giving a good housing societies. Around the change around 2012, 14, 15, when the electronics IT policies start booming, right? 10, 14 years, they extended themselves to Greater Noida and implemented the Uttar Pradesh electronic manufacturing policy also. Now we have Samsung in Noida, Greater Noida. We have Hire there. We have there's data centers there, right? So if you see that doesn't Gurgaon doesn't have it, right? If you see Gurgaon only have corporates and residentials, right?
A bit of
But Noida,
automobile.
yeah, Noida, Greater Noida, it has industries, it has modern IT companies, it has data center, and it has luxury housings, right? I don't know, it was planned or it just happened, but was the requirement of this, need of the hour, and the bureaucracy was smart enough to pick the right choice, right? So no one can tell right now, Noida, right, what exactly it is going to grow, but they have understood that, is the closest to the Delhi, right? A lot of money has to flow inside UP from there, right? A lot of support has to, and the government has been very focused on it for last 10, 15 years. We are not leaving Noida just an industrial or a residential city, right? Or a residential place. We want to grow it from IT, data centers, other things also, which makes it more like a global community city type, their own Silicon Valley, you can say it, UP's own Silicon Valley, right? With introduction of this Jaipur airport, Indian airports coming to international airports. I mean, it's being a blessing, right? For UP people, UP is a state which has opened the highest number of airports in last 5 years, right? I think number has gone to 26, right? So this is the connectivity. Thankful to central government, Mr. Nitin Gadkari ji also. UP is what I see is one of the state where the highway work has been wonderfully done. The whole state has been connected now, right? There are hardly any places left, right? It From a policy point of view, it's very helpful for us, to promote the small cities, or to bring new policies or investment, or at least think about the investment opportunities there, because we know at least once the connectivity is there, people will start mobilizing slowly, will start shifting their businesses.
Absolutely. And you yourself said the triple P model, right? And for manufacturing, the equivalent of platform is probably like infrastructure, which is definitely growing.
Most important.
Yeah. So, final question. What is for Divyanshu and for PapSwap, what is it that excites you the most? What are you looking forward to the most in the next like 1 to 5 years?
So we are a young company, right? Every day is very exciting for us. Every day is a learning for us. But what we feel proud of is that we are into a business where we are co-creating India's future. Co-creating India's future, working with the central government, working with the state government, working with a lot of stakeholders that, you know, add value to the economic growth of our country. And we find ourselves lucky enough, right, that we are part of it, working with good think tank bodies who are not just watching India's rise, but also actually, you know, putting some input into it. And we are the ones who are learning from them. So we feel very lucky. Next 3 to 4 years, we want to, stay in the same boat, right? And we want to see India grow. We want to add our part of it. We want to work with different partners, right? Like yourself, right? And see what we can. add into the India's growth story of 2047. It will be 100 years of our independence, and everyone has to work on it. On a personal note, what we as a company always visioned to do something notable in UP, and we ourselves has uh, taken a small mission to make Varanasi as the policy capital of India. Varanasi is known as the cultural capital of India, and we think that the city has given three times the prime minister, right? And the fourth time he's also consisting from Varanasi, right? And the oldest city in the world, right? Which cannot be, which definitely it can be solely the oldest city on with God's grace, right? But there should be some economics also in different phases, right, to survive. And we think that's the perfect blend. That's why Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji also chose when he left Gujarat and ran for the central Varanasi as its election campaign, place, because it's a perfect blend of Sanatan economy and governance, right? From many years. It's a city that is self-governing itself. It has seen a lot of ups and downs, right, historically, and still surviving proudly, right. All the civilizations around it has been destroyed. So we named it Varanasi as our company's vision statement. We do a lot of events related to summits related to it. In fact, in few days, we are organizing a Kashi Kaveri Startup Sangam. Kashi represents, UP. Kashi represents India, but it's in UP right now, and Kaveri from Tamil Nadu, right? And what two states together can learn from each other from the startup ecosystem, what two states can help each other into the startup ecosystem. The summit, the next few days, we'll be working on it, right? In few days back, also, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji also took, Ganga Jal from Kashi on his trip to Tamil Nadu a few days back, right? So that's a very old connection that Kaveri and Kashi also have.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, I think you've chosen a really a great historical city. And it's great you mentioned that, because, I had another guest previously on my podcast who also mentioned how some of our ancient temples are, backbone of the economy. And then you also talked about, like, connection between River Ganga and Kaveri, and Prime Minister was also there in, Cholapuram, right, yesterday.
Right.
On that positive note, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Divyanshu, for your time and fascinating insights on UP, what we can do as a policy and startup ecosystem. Thank you for the wonderful time today.
Thank you so much, Krishna. Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you.